In many ways, yes. I mean, like, look, a lot of this, frankly, is a rehash of the things that we did at Facebook. And what my team and I did there, at its very simplest essence, was collect lots of data. We were able to invalidate a lot of lore and anecdote and replace it with fact-based decision-making. Unemotional, nominally, reasonably sounding decisions.
Sounds simple, but Twitter can't seem to do it.
And to your point, like, it's a very hard thing to do because emotions and ego can be a really destructive force inside of companies, especially when, you know, the social capital of an organization is built up on gut level decision making. You know, this idea that, you know, you went off someplace and you had a vision. You know, people always talk about these visions. People are described as visionaries. And in reality, what the best people, at least that I've seen, that have changed the world have done is just quietly iterated. But that's not, again, an elegant narrative that society likes. Society wants to hear about a pithy antidote or one very precise intuition on something that turned out to be massively right.
It reminds me of that scene in The Princess Bride with the iocane powder, right? Like, when it, not to spoil, I don't know if it, you know, it's a spoiler at this point, but basically building up an immunity over time to iocane is what really allows you to win.
So I just think that we're in these situations where, particularly in technology, because so few people really understand it, they want to believe in this idea of divine intervention, and it's just not true. And so a lot of our success at Facebook was about the diligence of working every day. Again, back to the process, the practice, not the outcome. And so when I started this organization, a lot of it was about rebuilding that kind of infrastructure and that capability to have very unemotional, fact-based decision-making. And so how that manifests is that whenever we invest in a company or we have an idea about starting a company, we try to implement tools and systems that allow us to understand what's really happening on the ground, meaning the actual atomic level data that the business is generating while it's trying to do whatever it's trying to do. So for example, you know, my family's riddled with diabetes, and so myself and two other people started a diabetes business 7 years ago that helps large populations manage the disease. And how we think about its success is actually the data from the glucometers themselves. And when you have it, what it allows us to do is realize that you can predict when somebody's about to have a hypo or hyperglycemic event. And with those insights, then you can now have a nurse, a diabetes educator, an endocrinologist, an entire support system within a hospital intervene on behalf of the patient and make sure that they don't suffer from the debilitating effects of diabetes. That wasn't divine intervention. That's just being able to collect ground truth data, being able to apply, in that case, all kinds of interesting machine learning, then being able to take that and productize it and then sell it into an organization who desperately wanted a solution, and just keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And that took 7 years, and that company almost went out of business, but now, you know, it manages 1.2 million patients' lives. And I saw that in a board deck just this past week, and I thought to myself, my dad died of the disease. So I started it in large part in reaction to a helplessness that I felt around my whole family. 11 of my 17 aunts and uncles have it. Amputations, glaucoma, the whole thing. And so, you know, my dad isn't here, but I think to myself, is there a kid like me who has a dad like him who maybe now at the edges is probably closer to living than dying? That feels really great. And how we got to that point was not, you know, going to the top of a mountain and coming up with some, you know, idea that just came to us. It was just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away in an uncelebrated manner, but having the discipline and the commitment to keep doing it.